Hello, everyone. Welcome to the last review session. Please put your email in the chat so I can take attendance. And since it's 5:30, we shall begin. Jeopardy style, like usual, you are welcome to type in the chat the answer or just shout it out. The first section is on food supply. What is a genetically modified organism or transgenic organism? Also known as a GMO. This is a type of organism that is altered through genetic engineering, with the FDA affirming its safety. In the US, corn and soybeans make up 90% of its production. And a lot of farmers prefer growing GMO products because it's subsidized by the government, meaning it is more affordable or the government pays them to do so. And a lot of them are genetically modified, so they have like better taste, longer shelf life, they're more hardy in the environment, like they'll survive through harvest. What is the temperature danger zone? And if you like food a lot, this is a very important thing for you to know so that you will stay safe. Your belly will stay safe. The temperature danger zone is between 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and high temperatures kills the bacteria but doesn't deactivate them. So if you're keeping food at room temperature between these two, this whole range, then the bacteria grows fastest in this range because it's a preferred environment. So if you leave food sitting out, um, bacteria can grow in it and make you sick if you consume it. Why are food additives used? An example could be like salt or sugar. I mean, there's others that you could find in like packaging, but those are also food additives too. Food additives, they're used to reduce, yep, to extend shelf life, maintain freshness, prevent food spoilage, preventing undesirable changes in color and flavor by inhibiting enzymes, because you like eat with your eyes first, and increasing food safety through agents like antioxidants, antimicrobials, and pickling agents. Like a lot of the children I work with, if they see like a color of a food that is not what they're used to, they wouldn't want to eat it. Like if a blueberry is like darker in color or something. So using a food additives helps prevent them from discoloration. How can you reduce exposure to pesticides? And pesticides are chemicals used to kill pests, typically in an agricultural or landscape setting, gardening setting. And sometimes if you consume food that's sprayed with pesticides, it can make you sick. So how can you reduce your exposure to pesticides? Wash or peel off fresh fruits and vegetables. That is true. Wash produce, peel and trim, consume from a variety, choose organic. There is a list on, like, if you Google it or look it up, there is lists on the internet that shows you like the dirty dozen, and those are the ones that are often sprayed with pesticides so they can live up to harvest. So those are the ones that I highly recommend to be washed. What is the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act? This act mandates that any substance intentionally added to food must be reviewed and approved by the FDA to ensure its safety. Okay, this next section is about global nutrition. What is chronic malnutrition?
It's a long-term condition that results from a lack of essential nutrients in the diet over like a long period of time.
Yep, that is true. It is usually occurring in conditions where there's not a lot of consistency in fresh produce or not a lot of access to healthy foods. So, like in the food desert or in a place that just doesn't have an ideal, like consistent delivery system. And it can include overweight and underweight individuals. You could be overweight and still not get enough of those essential nutrients that you're talking about. It increases the risk for preterm births, especially from like a pregnant individual, intellectual disabilities, stunted growth, poor academic performance, decreased work output, and chronic diseases. So that's chronic malnutrition. What is nutrition security? This is sort of like opposite of chronic malnutrition. It's a very abstract concept. It's an emerging concept that complements food security initiatives by addressing health inequities and ensuring access to both adequate food and proper nutrition. And this is, I think I'm going to talk a little bit more about it later. Oh, having consistent access to nutritious food. Yeah, that is true. It's mostly about understanding like the culture of the people, what kind of cultural preferences they have of food. Because like during a lot of wars, when they like airdrop food that's like canned and not what the locals are used to eating, then it's still not nutrition security. They're like getting new foods that they're not used to, and their bodies might not be used to either. What are strategies to address nutrition deficiency? Ooh, I should have waited to talk about cultural foods. These strategies include supplementation and fortification. Like we talked about all-purpose flour, they started fortifying it with those three vitamins and that mineral iron. And it's a cost-effective way to target larger population. And micronutrient supplementation, which improves birth weight during pregnancy and increases height and weight in children. And other strategies could be nutrition education, like giving people the knowledge to make healthier choices and having cultural foods more accessible. And then another example we talked about before is putting iodine into salt so people don't get goiters. So that's another good example of that. What is the US Farm Bill? This is a legislative package that's passed every 5 years and supports nutrition programs for low-income families, including SNAP, which is food stamps, that a lot of college students have the accessibility for, school breakfast and lunch, congregate meals, and WIC, which is for breastfeeding mothers. What are food deserts? The deserts are areas often lacking full-service grocery stores and access to healthy foods, leading to limited nutritious food options for residents. Usually they could have mostly like pantry stuff, but the fresh fruit, like even if they have it on display, it could be like molding pretty fast or it's not the foods that the locals typically eat. And it could be inconsistent in quality and quantity. Okay, this next section's on fertility, pregnancy, and breastfeeding. What is polycystic ovary syndrome or PCOS? This is a condition that is the leading cause of female infertility, characterized by hormonal imbalances and tiny cysts around the ovaries. It often results in irregular or absent periods, difficulty becoming pregnant, and high rates of spontaneous abortions. What are key nutrients for fertility? So if two people are trying to conceive, what kind of nutrition, some nutrients, what kind of nutrients should they consume so they could have a higher chance of conceiving? Specifically folate, because it plays a key role in DNA synthesis and metabolism. Yep. Iron, zinc, and antioxidants like vitamin E, C, selenium, zinc, and beta carotene. When does malnutrition and nutrition deficiency affect mother's ability to breastfeed? Which trimester specifically? The second trimester. And this is super important to know because if a mother is malnourished and has nutrition deficiencies during the whole second trimester, if she overcompensates in the third trimester, her like lactation potential and like milk storages will still not be able to breastfeed at full capacity. So unfortunately, like when a mother is like really stressed and not eating enough in the second trimester, it could affect the ability to breastfeed. Why should females not consume high saturated fat for fertility? High saturated fat promotes insulin resistance and impairs ovulation. It also increases inflammation. Yep. It also there's like studies being done on if two parents are like higher weight during conception, um, then the child will have that gene expressed when they are born too. So it's important to be more mindful of high saturated fat consumption. Why should you not have closely spaced siblings born less than 12 months apart? I think they're called Irish twins. Yeah, I think Irish twins is when they're born less than 12 months apart from each other. How does this affect a mother's body primarily nutrition wise? So the mother, if she conceives twice within 12 months and the kids are born within that time frame, it gives her less time to replenish her nutrient storages that was depleted by pregnancy. Because as you know, when there's a fetus growing, it takes priority over the mother's health. So if the baby needs more like calcium, but there's not enough calcium being consumed, the baby could actually take it from the mother's storages, which is like bones and like teeth and stuff and like the muscles. So it's really important to eat enough nutrients so that doesn't happen. Not enough time to rebuild storages. Yeah. And after the baby is born, the mother can consume a lot of nutrients to rebuild and replenish the resources in her body. But if she conceives less than 20 months after that first birth, then she will get her resources even drained even more. Like she didn't have the time to fill it in. There's more risks for health problems. Okay, this section's on infant, child, teen nutrition. Which child is taller? A child in the 20th percentile or a child in the 60th percentile? And why is this important to know?
Is it the child in the 60th percentile?
Yep, they're taller. It is the percentile is a growth chart for um parents and the care team to help a child's development, physical development. And the bigger the percentile they are, the bigger in size they are. So in growth charts, a child that's in the 60th percentile is larger than 60% of their peers. And the 20th percentile is they are bigger than 20% of their peers. I babysit a girl who's in like the 99 percentile and she's like 11 and she's almost taller than me. So that's unfortunate for me, but fortunate for her. So it's good to track a child's development, and if they start deviating from that percentile, then there's something wrong with their health or something is going on in their bodies that's affecting it. So this is like a good indicator for understanding child development. Okay. Where does a child's main source of nutrition comes from for the first 6 months of their life? What should they be eating? Should they be eating cheese? Should they be eating like grapes? Like what should they be eating in their first 6 months of their life? I put child, but it's more like infant in the proper terminology of things. Their main source of nutrients comes from breast milk or formula. And there's a lot of fun conversations about which one's better. And the discourse has revealed, yeah, breast milk or formula, that breast milk has antibodies that the mother can pass down to the infant as a lot of immunity boost, while formula doesn't really do that. But yes, they should not be eating grapes or cheese at 6 months. But at 6 months, you could start introducing them to the allergen list. That's like a really good time for them to start developing an immune system for that. But before that, they should not be eating grapes or cheese. What stage of life does the brain grow fastest for human development? What time? What age? Yes, I think that's a better wording. What age does a child or an adult grow the fastest, their brain, during infancy. That's why their brain grows disproportionately faster than their bodies, which is why whenever you get like an infant and you put their arms over their head, they can't even touch actually. I think it's like this. And as they grow older, like their arms and their appendages will grow, but their brain goes the fastest at infancy. What vitamins should parents especially pay attention to for infancy? Vitamin K, D, and B12 if breastfeeding parent is vegan. What supplements should children consume? You walk into a health store, there's like gummies on the shelf, there's like a bunch of supplements. Which one should you pick for the child? The ones that are advertised like with Bluey, Paw Patrol, like should you get those? Like what should you pick? This is actually a trick question, guys. You should not get them any supplements. They don't need it. Should be getting all they need from their food if it's diverse enough. Yep, none. Nice job. And if it's diverse enough, and they're covering all of the food groups and nutritions, you're fine. The only reason why they would need supplement if it's prescribed by a pediatrician. So it's unnecessary. So don't fall for that Paw Patrol marketing. Okay, this one's other. I didn't know where to fit these questions, so it has its own category. What is Listeria monocytogenes? And this is really important to know if you are an expecting mother or if you work in the restaurant. Like, I'm getting trained for this. This is a bacteria. And it's a bacteria that's only relevant to, well, also like maybe it's relevant to people who are immunocompromised too, but specifically pregnant individuals because it could cause flu-like symptoms 7 to 30 days after exposure and may lead to spontaneous abortion. It's commonly found in unpasteurized milk, soft cheeses made from raw milk, raw vegetables like cabbage and sprouts, and raw animal products. So usually they recommend you cook all these things before you eat it to prevent this. And if you're like healthy and fine and not pregnant, then you would destroy this bacteria in your body. But pregnant individuals are immunocompromised. This could be pretty bad health-wise. Okay, what is direct food aid? This is a helpful short-term solution to food insecurity, but it's not a good long-term solution as it can lower local food prices, provide inappropriate foods like culturally, and create dependence on external aid. So like the people would just keep depending on this food instead of learning how to like grow food, create their own food systems, and it could be detrimental that way to their communities once that direct food aid stops. Why do people farm insects? Why is there farms where they grow insects to sell to eat? Like, I think like ants, crickets, scorpions. I know if you like travel around in Asia, you could find them like barbecued on skewers. I don't know if you guys have tried it. There's a lot of cool insects out there for consumption. It's because they're high in protein. They're more sustainable in as a food source. They don't require as much resources like cows or like sheeps and other big high protein sources do. They're rich in iron, calcium, and B vitamins and require fewer inputs compared to protein sources. And if you guys haven't tried fried ants, you guys should add that to your bucket list. Why is awful a sustainable solution? Awful? This is another way to describe animal parts, including entrails and organs. They're super nutrition dense. Like liver is full of iron and it contributes to reducing food waste. Consuming them cuts down on waste. It lowers exports costs and provides more iron, zinc, and vitamin B6 and 12 than lean muscle meat. But this is like really hard in America because a lot of people they would like to eat the prettier cuts of meat like breast and stuff like that. And there's been a shift recently to consume meat from head to toe instead of just like the pretty meats that is used widely for like events. But if you guys have never had pate, which is blended liver, it's a Vietnamese like spread. It's really good. You guys should try it. Okay, this is the last question. What are viruses? Infections that need a living host to support them. That is true. They're pathogens that can only reproduce after invading body cells, often labeled as stomach flu, and are difficult to test for. They're tough to kill and often affect long-term care facilities. So, a lot of prevention is important. Some of them can be transferred through food. Okay, that's all we have today for the final review session. I'll be sticking around if anyone has any questions. Make sure your email is in the chat because that's how I take attendance. And good luck on your finals, everyone.
Thank you.
Of course.